What's going on, guys? Hit pause here with another tutorial. In this one, we're going to discuss a different type of progress bar. This kind we're going to do is going to be the radial progress bar. This one presents a particular set of challenges. Now, there's two ways that I know of to do a radial progress bar inside of Unreal anyway. The first being that I could do something like this, where I use this kind of gradient, a radial gradient, right? At which point I could come here and determine pretty much exactly, let's see, boom, boom. And what I'll do is I'll throw this in a group, and I'll mask the group because I'm trying to show, like, just basically give a general example. So this would be a general gradient that you could use to wipe around with an if statement to determine your percentage here, and it will reveal or de-reveal. This may or may not want to be inverted the other way. You may want to start. It depends on which way you want it to grow. For the most part, if it's going to grow from black to white, you're going to want it to go clockwise, right? So in this fashion, there's benefits and then there's negatives. The benefit is that this way is actually pretty easy. Really, the negative is actually a little bit worse. Number one, we're going to have issues with the texture compression. Meaning that there's going to be kind of problems with we're not going to have this very clean, perfect line going around this whole thing. It's probably going to do a little bit of pixel creep, meaning every couple of lines or something, it's going to kind of pick up like a square shape in there, and that's just kind of unavoidable in a sense. That's the main problem with it. The other problem is that even though that this is a gradient from black to white, and it probably is a fairly good number of steps, UE4 is actually really not all that accurate in reading the values here. I'm not knocking the engine because I don't really know how hard that kind of thing is, but the fact is that if you were to blend this from black to white, for the most part, it's actually going to cut off like in a disgustingly off position. It'll probably never actually go past that or that. All this right here is going to be completely wasted because it just can't see the difference between these pixels. It sees them all as black. So and all of these as white. This is only like 3% white. It just doesn't read it. So that's the other problem. It's a little bit inaccurate. So positive side here, it's easy to use. Just fire it in there and just drive a parameter on an if statement. Your general if blend, right? I don't know if anybody knows what the if blend is, but it's just basically, hey, if the value is over 0.1 or something, on this chart, then it equals 1. We just cut it off, and then I just keep increasing that test value until it goes. It actually originally is 1. So the other method is what I use in Flash, and I'm going to try to show it and explain it here in Photoshop, and if I can't do it, I may actually open up Flash and show it there. It being like a vector-based thing. So the theory is that you actually don't do any kind of material weirdness, except for the fact that what we need to do is we need to do some rotation in the material. And the trick is to simply cut it in half. Now, what ends up happening is this, and this is kind of hard to explain, like I said, but I'm going to give 2 halves here. Okay, let's actually rotate that. Did that do anything? I don't think I can rotate that. It's very strange. Okay, well, I'll just do it by hand, I guess. That's weird. I don't know why it wouldn't rotate that. But anyway, so I have 2 halves of the circle. Okay. Now let's actually put these into the folder here, so we can better get an understanding. Because now I'll hide this. Now I have 2 halves of the circle. So what'll happen, and like I said, I think this is going to act a little funny, but what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to take these two. I'm just going to hold Alt. I'm going to just throw a dupe of those guys just in case I need to go back to them. And I'm going to create an empty layer and flatten that and do the same as such. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to take this shape here. This is, I know this is a little weird. I'm just going to go ahead and show this. And I'm going to basically erase this. So I'm only going the other half. And all I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to fill this with white so that half my circle is white. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to fill that with white. So if we look at it, it's just a black and white circle. Okay. The reason I did this is so that when I hit the transform tool, this fucking thing isn't right here. So because it would have been halfway. I want it in the middle. That's the only reason I did that. Okay. Hopefully you guys can understand why I wanted to do that. Okay. So I think this one needs to be on top. And then what I want to do is I want to actually knock out the black underlying. Actually, no, this layer I want to knock out the white. Okay. Same thing here. This layer, I just want to knock out the white. That way it doesn't matter what background I'm on. So now what happens is, what I do is now I have a full, let's just say this is a empty meter, right? When I rotate this, you can see what happens. But I can only rotate it halfway. If I go past halfway, okay, I start losing value up here. Okay, so the trick is you go half your value, then when you're done, you rotate the other one. Actually, this one's got to go. The reason this is happening, by the way, is because this one needs to be masked out on this side. So let's do that real quick. I need to invert that. It's not. I don't get how that's possible. Okay. This one needs the same mass, just inverted. Okay. So now when I rotate this, I'll drain this meter. Okay. So let's put this one back. Again, this is the theory in a nutshell. So we have these two things. They're masked out halfway. The whole thing is masked out again, right? In however thick you want this to be. Excuse me, and in any shape, to be honest with you. Just keep in mind the quadrants. And again, what you do is you say, we'll call this right side, and we'll call this left side. And the theory is say we're going from 0, you know, we're doing this over 10 seconds, we divide you know, the delta time or whatever to figure out, you know, what our step is going to be to get that. And then we take half the value and figure out the percentage between a 0 and a 180 rotation. So again, this rotates 180. Boom. Okay? When that's done, that one stops moving, and this one immediately follows and does the last half of the value, percentage of the last half. So essentially we just cut the value in half to get our percent. Percent drives probably a lerp or something, or a variable between you know, 0 and 180, whatever that is. Now here's the tricker and the kicker. I don't really know exactly what inside of UE4 we're going to be able to use to really control this. So what I want to do is just basically try to figure out setting up the material so that hopefully we can get the rotation thing to work. And I think it will work, but I'm not entirely sure what each layer should have. Now I do believe that I want to just capture some stuff raw. So let's just give myself a brand new layer here, and I'm going to hit D and then Alt backspace. I'm just going to fill that with black. Okay, now I'm going to hold Alt and I'm going to show this guy by itself. I'm actually going to shift click this and this to turn off the masks, and I'm also going to turn back on showing this. I'm only doing this really because you know what, I actually think I should be doing this. I think I should actually just export this. So what we'll do is I'll just go like that, go to this layer, and in its red channel I'll throw that down. Okay, that's white on that side. Then I'm just going to do the same thing here in its green channel. Make sure I'm on the right layer. Okay, here in the green channel I'll fill the other side with white. So red and green together, right? And then blue will simply be my mask, my total mask. So I got my two halves and I got my mask. Now again, this should be the thickness of your material. Now if you want, and we can do this, there's way more stuff we can do. We can put a gradient on this, like a nice gradient, to make it look like it's got some serious, you know, volume to it. You could put shader effects and things like all kinds of stuff on it, you know, that you want. Pretty much the other thing that you could do would be probably to create this, what we see here, as an actual parametrized item in the material editor, such that you set the min and max width or something like that, radiuses. So basically you would just create two circles, right? You can create circles in the editor and you can tell it how much a radius you want it to be, and you just make ones a little bit smaller than the other based on how thick that is, and then subtract it, and there's your mask. So we may not need this at all. We may want this for some effects. We may want to actually come here and do something like, let's just put a layer here. I'll hide the grid, and then we could put some kind of, you know, inner glow on it that's black, set to normal here, and then we just crank the size up. You know, we can get some effects like that, right? And then we just turn that down now that we know we got it. So it could be colored like that if we want, and we could multiply this on top of everything. But again, if you're going to control the border, or the, you know, the thickness of the whole thing in code, then you can't really do something like this. So I'm just going to use this for now. I'm going to hide that and just show this layer again. 3 channels, right? We got right side, left side, and then the circled mask. And together they should outline together. Okay. And to be honest with you, there is, and if your question is, does this need to be in a circle? The answer is no. This can, in fact, be like that. But I'm not going to do that for the sake of showing how this is all kind of lining up. Okay, that's the only reason. But yeah, this actually should just be half the whole thing, because we're gonna rotate it from the center. So we just care that the right side is white, and for the other layer we just care that the left side is white. So just keep that in mind. All right, so let's just get it out and we'll go from here. So I'll save it out and I'll get into the engine. Okay, here's the image in the editor. Just make sure sRGB is off, and we'll just go ahead and pop this to masks. It shouldn't really matter in this case, it's all black and white, but we'll do it anyway. Okay, so we'll save that, and I'm going to keep this in pickups for now, just in case. I'm probably going to keep it somewhere around here, but let's just create a new material. Pretty much all the work that we're going to do is going to be right here. So this will be radial progress. Radial progress bar underscore master. We want to preview this on here on a plane, and we'll just grab the texture, which is here, and just grab that and drag that in. Okay, so we have everything I think that we actually need here, to be honest. we're going to want, I believe, masked. And I believe we're going to want that to be the opacity mask. So that'll give us the ring. We're going to need a color for our bar. So we'll just go with red for now. Okay, we'll probably need a background behind that. So like black, which actually shouldn't be a parameter, should just be a scalar. Okay, let's see what else. Let's do a check or two here. We're actually going to lerp that over that based on that. We'll check that real quick. Okay, it gives us half. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're actually going to dupe the whole thing, including the texture sample node. And we're just going to swap to here. And if we check, we should see it flip. Red on the other side. Okay, that's fine. That's exactly what we want. We'll add them together. Okay. Now the thing is we do need a half mask because these aren't being masked away from each other yet. So I'm actually just going to bypass this right now and just focus on one because I have a more impressing problem here. And I think this is what I'm praying to God that we have. Is this going to make an object spin in the world? Should I just be doing a rotator? Which would be really funny. There's the center. Yeah. Why don't I just stop being an asshole? I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought that I had to do that. Okay, well maybe I still need to do something here. Because we want to make sure that this is going to spin. Okay, it is. As you can see. Now we do get a problem up here. As you can see quite clearly there. Now, also notice how clean this is. That's very clean. Now it's not so clean at the border here on my inner border, but that's a pixel edge thing. So is the other one, but the fact is that it's rotating. What the pixels are perfectly, you know, straight in line, no anti-aliasing or anything like that. But let's go ahead and fix this corner bowl stuff. Oh, hang on. Now that's okay. Granted, I don't actually technically want to spin that. But yeah, I'm still getting. I think that was what it was. I didn't want to spin that version, but that should have actually still not done that if I clamped it. Is there another option? Mirror? Nah, I don't want to do that. Anyways, I didn't want to spin this anyway. Okay, so now I need a mask here. So the thing is what I actually want to do is I actually do want to go back to Photoshop and I want to change this. Okay. Yeah, I want to fill it all the way. Okay. Let's go re-import that. Alright, and the reason for that is because I'll actually be able to here, so I'm rotating, and what I can do is I can simply multiply it by a version that isn't rotating. Okay, it's a little backwards. This rotator is actually, you'll see it stop now, by the way. This rotator is, I don't have control over the degrees on it. We'd have to run a conversion, because that's the other thing too. It's very important that in this case we only rotate this thing until it's 180. So how do you know that? Doing a rotator. that it's at 180 because it's just going by speed. There's no track of what angle it's currently at. So this isn't good. I gotta look it up. So let me do that real quick and I'll come back with the info. Okay, well, a very quick look on the internet's found me this. Custom rotator. I'm not real sure what to put in here. I'm actually going to look at the image that I'm supposed to be looking at. Okay, I'm actually going to do a 2 vector here and then an angle here. No errors? Okay, so if I go 0.5, 0.1, it's moving it. So my rotation center is not good. I think it's supposed to be 0.25 should be a quarter. Boom. Okay, so 0.5 is 180. 1 is 360. So if I go 1 here, it's just going to go 360, right? So if I actually just do something a little silly here, just like throw this on there, you'll see the same basic effect. It's just much faster. Now I have control over the angle, which is just a conversion between 0 and 1. But keeping in mind that 0 and 1 is 360. So, tits. What we're going to do is we're going to convert that to a parameter, and we're going to call this right side angle. Okay, and we're going to dupe all that. Let's get rid of this turd. This one will be left side angle. Right? We're now add them up. Add them up. Add them up. Probably want to do this on emissive and most likely user interface and something like that, right? Yeah, I guess, right? That actually works. Okay, so how about if we rotate this by 0.25, which should be 90 degrees. Okay, wait, hang on, negative 0.25? Because this one might have to rotate the other way. Okay. Yes. So that one's 0, that one's 0. So this is a full meter. So now this meter, by the way, is going to count down. If you wanted to count up based on the same thing, kind of would just reverse these colors, to be honest with you. Whether or not you're looping between here, you know what, let's actually do this. Let's convert that to a parameter and we'll call that color 1. And the reason I'm calling it color 1 and not bar color and background color and color 2 is because, like I said, if you want to actually, I think if you want to just reverse it, you just kind of change the colors. It's pretty simple. So B is that guy and A will be that guy. I will default that to nice and black. Alright. So we'll have to figure out, based on our percentage here, what we're going to drive, but it's going to work. Now, the other thing too is that there's nothing stopping you from adding more to this. You can overlay on top now a frame with some bordering, some glass work, some ornate shit, a gem in the middle that fills up with goo. I mean, tons of stuff if you wanted to do. You could put text in here, an icon, a portrait, a text around it, text inside of it. I mean, there's 1,000 billion trillion options, but the trick is how do you get the damn thing to drain. So hopefully, that was really weird. It really simplified this thing down when I changed this thing to user interface, didn't it? Good golly, Miss Molly. I didn't expect that at all. I've never seen it do that. Okay. So, now, we're going to need a widget. So, let's go to user interface. We'll make a widget. And we'll call this Radial Blueprint. What am I doing? Radial Progress Bar. Blueprint. Mind. Okay. And we need a thing. And it's not a progress bar this time. It's an image. I'm not entirely sure what we're supposed to place here. A picture? Okay, so size, we'll say 100 by 100. And brush, image. Oh, yeah. I mean, seems legit. So if that's 100 and that's 100, let's anchor it in the middle. And then we'll just go -50, -50. So it should be dead center. We're going to put this on probably on a blueprint. I mean, you could do it on your screen. I'm probably just going to place it in the world like I did on the last one. We might as well. Okay, so now here's the thing. We need to figure out if we can even get any access to this. So let's go ahead and I didn't want to play. Alright. Radial progress bar. Now I'm going to make a blueprint that's just an actor that is going to be called Radial progress bar spawner or something like that. It's just something I just want to test. I just need a thing because all I want to do is add the widget right here and make this, where's the, you're telling me the class there. Very strange. Radial progress bar. Boom. Looks hideous. Looks absolutely horrendous. Well, you know what? I'm gonna eat this for now, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know why it looks all jaggy. I really don't. I think that might be something just to do with the fact that this uses an experimental class. So let's come here and basically on tick, we're just going to count this thing up and then we'll figure out the math on it. But the other thing too is I need to make sure that I can figure out if I can even get a handle on this thing. So we're going to say get widget, get user widget object, and we'll cast to radial progress bar, and we'll just put that there, put that there. We'll promote that to a variable called widget. We'll call this radial bar. Alright. And we'll throw this up on begin play when it gets dropped down in the world. And I don't know if I can do this. I think I can do this. And then at this point, well, actually, I kind of don't want to keep creating a new one on tick. That would be fucking stupid. That would be dumb. Promote to, and we'll call this widget material. Okay, so we store that. And we'll come here, we'll just grab that, and we'll say set scalar parameter value. And we'll just pop that here. Let's figure out what that parameter value was. Close that now. Let's call that right side angle. Hey, we'll use it as a like a FPS gauge. Okay, so hang on. We still need to make sure that we get one of these things in the world. So let's just actually place one. I think that's the easiest way. Then I don't have to mess with it as my player. Radio progress bar spawner. Alright, let's go ahead and simulate. Okay, I'm not seeing anything. Access non-trying to read property widget material from function. Okay. Okay, I found the answer. You don't create a dynamic material, you get the dynamic material from the bar. Actually, I should plug that in there. Okay, so I was trying all this other stuff here, and this wasn't working. But now it seems to be okay. So you see that I put 0.25 right here on the right side angle, and there we go. Right? So that's 25%. Right? So If we do negative 0.25, because we kind of have to go negative here, the way it's all set up. Probably could have done that better, but you can see now that it's draining in the correct direction. Alright, so let's do this. Okay, so right side percent and left side percent. Fairly certain that that ain't right. Okay, so we're going to need to set these guys here. But we're going to need to drive them first. So let's say we need two variables. Because I didn't name it, or what? Current time, max time. Do remember we want to start with tick off. Okay. So begin play will give us a few handles, and we need that. Let's make a custom event to actually get started. Could do this based off the other one, but I kind of want to do this one from scratch. I don't want the other progress bar to have anything to do with it. Plus, I did a few things in the player control, in the player character there, which I don't really want to do here. Okay, so we'll initialize time, at which point we will set max time, and then set tick enabled. Okay, so this thing will not initialize on begin, but I'm actually just going to tell it to initialize here with a random amount of time. Okay, so time here, what we need to do, basically we're going to run a branch here. So max time gets set. We know we need to divide this by 2. Right? That's imperative because each side's only going to do that. So left side percent, right side percent, current time needs to keep basically counting up. So let's do that real quick. Do an f-interp constant with a speed of 1. Okay. So we're now counting the time. And what we need to do is we need to check if time is greater than or equal to if the current time is greater than or equal to max time. Because if we're over halfway, we want to start moving the other one. Okay, so if we're greater than or equal to max time, we start doing the left side, actually. Half. If we're over half, we start doing the left side. So we'll pop that. That. Okay. We're not setting any of these yet. Left side percent. I'm going to actually change that. I'm going to change that to angle. Okay. And so that way we can do current time divided by max time. That's our current percent. I suppose we could check if the current percent is greater than or equal to 50.5. This kind of does the same thing though, so I'm not real worried about it. So if we're doing the right side, we take the percent, we'll set right side angle here. However, I believe that what we actually want to do is divide that by 2. So percent divided by 2 basically moves the right side. Okay, and the other way will be this, however, left side angle here, and except we need to subtract 0.5, I think. Okay. I think that theory is there. So we're going to initialize at 5 seconds. Let's just see what we get. Maybe a complete disaster. It's going the wrong way. So that's going the wrong way. Okay. That's fine. Let's do a float times float. It's going to be -1. Get that guy to go backwards. Oops, wrong thing. Oops. Well, no. We'll do it here so that the value is set as negative. Okay, it also felt like it kind of cut out before it got to halfway. Let me see here. Seems like at a quarter something's going wrong. So it won't be greater than or equal to half yet. I don't think I actually want that. Ta-da! Okay, yes, it's leaving behind some goo. I understand, but ta-da, dudes. Ta-da. That is theory. Boom. And at the moment that it's done, you could do whatever. Blow up the universe. Send a rocket ship into the sun. Alright, so let's just review real quick. So again, you can, you know, drive it however you want. It is based on percent. It should. So more time should actually... I actually don't, by the way, I don't know if this takes 5 seconds. It might. Let me try to time that better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom. Maybe. If we take 10 seconds, it should be slower. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 10. Yeah, it's about right. Something like that. That's it. Boom, there's your radial bar. So same theory, double split mask. You gotta rotate one side and then the other. Basically we just count our time like we normally would, right? Then we're just going to check, hey, are we over halfway? Because we only want to do this until halfway. One of the things you may want to do is once you are now setting the left side angle, you may want to just go ahead and force the right side angle to be 0.5. And the reason for that is because depending on what your time is and depending on the frame rate and all that stuff, the increment that actually gets rotated here can actually be kind of different, and it may actually end up shooting past the point. Now, I am not sure why this image looks just so gross. So let me do a little bit of testing here. I don't like that. Ain't working at all. I'm just gonna go default here. And did that break anything here? Linear color. I honestly think there's something just really gross about the way that it gets displayed in the world. And I'm not sure there's anything I can do here about like set the resolution, you know? Like don't look like shit mode. Because it really doesn't look like that here. I mean, that's clean. So maybe the material being this user interface mask, maybe we'll try translucent instead. That's got to be there. Ah, much better. Yeah. See if we still have any garbage left over. And yeah, we do. Okay. Yeah, it really is kind of a matter of. Let me try one more thing here. Let me try nearest. I know it's going to make this look like shies, but if this works, I might actually do a duplicate of the image. Because that should be very, very. Yeah, it's got a full-blown. Remember, the image is actually 512, right? So, in reality, let's see if that actually cleans it up. Let's go back here to the widget, and let's make sure that's all set the same. Still a fucking pixel left over. Up there too? Not up there, but down here there is. Okay. Let's put that back to default. Hang on, let me try something here. Notice something that was very different. It left behind. Notice the thickness of this. Notice the thickness of it again. Look at that now. It's different every time. So when we do get in here, forgot to actually set that value. This will solve that, because we'll set right side angle to 0.5, because remember, like in between the ticks it's getting, you know, it's incrementing, and at that one time it might be 0.5 degrees and other times it might be 0.1 degrees, and if it sometimes it won't actually make it to the halfway point, you know. So we force it when it gets there. So boom, gone. Boom, gone. This is Hip signing off. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.